Okay, now I am trying for the fourth time the correct settings to use while I'm out here on a walk so that I can put together a video that isn't too aggravating to watch. Since my subject matter isn't that interesting, maybe I'll try to make my video a little more interesting, something more watchable. Hi, puppy. So, what I have today, and these are my settings that I'm using to do this walk. So before I start with my camera settings, I'm also tracking my route and my exercise by it's 44 degrees by, how do you do it? Three different devices tracking my pace, I guess you could say, and my route. I'm using my watch, my TicWatch 5 Ultra, Pro Ultra, something like that anyway. Using Tic Exercise, I think is what it's called. And this is just outdoor walk mode. So it's tracking through GPS, my route, is tracking my steps, elevation change. Since it's on my wrist, it's tracking my heart rate, my VO2, my respirations, things like that. And ouch, on my knee. Anyway, so I'm using my phone. I'm using my watch. I'm using my phone, my Pixel 8 Pro, and I'm using Google Fit to track my route. Do the same thing that my watch is doing. It's tracking my steps, elevation change, speed. It's also tracking my route with GPS, and it's going to put it on a Google map. But I'm also using Onyx Off-Road to track my route. And basically what that's doing is it's using my phone and GPS to track my route, my speed, and elevation change. Plus it does whatever, pauses and things like that. So my phone is tracking with two different programs is tracking me, plus my watch is tracking me. And none of them are the same, ever. I always start them at the exact same moment, and then I start my walk. They're not the same. Even my phone, when it's using Onyx versus Google Fit, they don't have the same distance traveled. They all track the direction I went, my route. They all do the same route, but for whatever reason, the distance isn't the same. Of course, the steps will be different with my phone and my watch, but so I just averaged the 3 out, and I figure that's about what I did. So that's what I'm doing with that. But as far as recording this is concerned, I'm using my DJI Mic Mini paired with my Action 4 that's recording from my microphone here, this on top of my camera, my Action 2 camera. It's recording wirelessly directly to the camera, the Action 4, instead of using the Action 4's internal microphone. So the audio coming from my Action 4 camera is the actual microphone that I'm wearing on my shirt. And then my Action 2 is on my chest, which is filming with its internal microphone. And it's actually not bad audio quality. I think a lot of it has to do with it has a deeper tone because it's against my chest. And so it's getting some of those lower end sounds than because it's actually touching my chest. And so it's, you know, hitting my lungs. So it's getting those low guttural sounds too. And then as far as the video is concerned, my Action 2 is filming in 2.7K. It's on auto ISO at 100 to 800 ISO. So basically, I just walked from the sun into the shadow, and it's compensating for darker shots like this shadow that I'm in by being able to jump in the ISO settings from 100 to 800. I can set it a lot higher, but if I do, then I get noise in the image, and so I keep it at 800. It might be a little darker. It's still usable. I mean, it's daytime. There's not a cloud in the sky, but the sun is still kind of low on the horizon, so I'm getting into shadows. So it's still usable, but it's also using horizon balance for stabilization. And when you're in darker situations, using stabilization that is electronic, which is what all these action cameras use, you tend to get jittery edges when it's in lower light conditions because it's fighting stabilizing and also keeping your image bright enough. So the computer's having a hard time doing all those calculations. And this camera on my chest, the Action 4, there's 1 mile, is 4 years old. It came out over 4 years ago. So it's getting a little long in the tooth. And the reason I shoot 2.7 on it is because the way I have it is it's not attached to the external battery that comes with it. And in the external battery, it also has the memory card. And I have, I think, what is it? Shoot. I have a 128 or a 264 gigabyte card in the actual battery that attaches to this. So it only has 22 gigs of usable storage internally in this camera. So what happens is the battery runs out and it runs out of space pretty quickly when you're using 4K with just the camera, because I mean there's not a big battery in there. So that's why I'm shooting 2.7 on this camera. And what happens is it's going to turn off probably in another 3/4 of a mile. And I have another camera, I have 2 of them. So I have another one that I will start shooting footage with. You'll see that switch over. But when I switch, I just basically stick it right back on my magnet that's on my chest here. I just keep shooting and I transfer them. They have the same exact settings. I transfer them to the memory card via the battery, the battery that attaches to it. That's the only way to get the footage off of these, is by transferring them onto that battery. Or when you plug into the battery, then you can do Wi-Fi and you can transfer them through the Mimo app. So that's what this one's doing. And I'm shooting in sign-like. which is 10-bit. I don't know, I think they call it M-Log or something on this camera, the Action 2. And I'm going to process it and color grade it because Grok told me it's going to walk me through that today after I get done with this video. Okay, so I have my Action 2. Oh, and it's also 30 frames per second because when I produce my videos for YouTube, I produce everything in 30 frames per second. And that way I know that the video isn't skipping and jumping. So I have the Action 2 doing that. Now the Action 4, which is on my selfie stick, I have that one shooting in 4K. It's on Rocksteady 2. And I think I have a shooting, also on the Action 2, is shooting in a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is like what your TV is. On my Action 4, I'm shooting in a 4:3 aspect ratio. And it's in 4K. Everything else is exactly the same. Well, no, I take that back. My shutter for my ISO is also auto, but I have it set up to -1 sharpness because I can do that in this Action 4, which you don't even have that option in the Action 2. -1 sharpness, and it's also, the ISO is auto between 100 and 1600 because this camera does a lot better than this camera when it comes to noise when you have a higher ISO and darker conditions. So that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm filming this. One other thing that I was doing is I was doing this the other day on this walk, and I had my selfie stick lower, and I think shooting it higher, almost like above your eye line, is actually a better angle than lower. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm shooting it up at my eye line now, and I'm trying to use my shoulder and elbow, even though my Action 4 is using Rocksteady stabilization. I'm trying to use my elbow, shoulder, and wrist as like a shock absorber, as kind of like a gimbal, so that when I take steps, my body might be bouncing, but my arm isn't. And I'm trying to keep the camera as stable as I can, because the more stable the camera is, the less it has to fix for you. So that's what I'm doing. And one hint that I want to give to you, if you're just starting out, or you're thinking about starting out, or if you're getting aggravated because you keep messing up like I've done. One, I've learned more stuff from just watching YouTube videos than fixing it on my own. But when you get ready to start going, double check all your settings while you're still charging your cameras. Make sure everything's good and topped off before you leave, because I'm going to be filming for about an hour today straight. I'm not going to be doing any cuts or turning the camera, stopping the recording or anything like that, which I probably shouldn't have said because I don't know if I have voice control on. Neither one of these things actually did that. So yeah, turn off voice control. You might actually say something that might cause your camera to do a function. But anyway, make sure your cameras are charged up and your settings are already set. Double and triple checked it. And then when you get ready to go out, shoot a little bit of test footage. Like, for example, you want to know what does your footage look like in the lighting conditions that you're in, and also what is your audio going to be sounding like. Because I'm using a microphone to record to my camera, I also had to check to make sure my settings, audio settings, weren't too hot or too soft, because you don't want to be running into problems where the sound starts sounding crackly or too soft to where you have to turn it up in post-processing and then it doesn't sound like good quality audio. So you need to make sure that all that stuff is good. You get your test footage and everything's set. And then if you don't take too long doing that, just turn your stuff off until you're ready to go. If you take a while doing that, then what you need to do is you need to recharge your stuff to give you the longest possible option of going without your batteries dying on you. So this is what we're gonna do, is just keep doing this until the battery dies. What's up, guys? I know you're just standing there looking up trying to see if I look up, so I'm not gonna do it.